Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up one morning and realizing that your entire life, your peace, your purpose, your success could be transformed not by a miracle, not by luck, but by five simple habits you practice every single day. Five habits so powerful that they can rewrite your story, reshape your mindset, and reboot your destiny from the ground up. The question is, will you control your habits, or will your habits continue to control you? Because by the time you finish hearing this, you'll never look at your daily routine the same way again. My friends, we all dream of a better life. We all want to be happier, healthier, more peaceful, and more successful. But too often we wait for some magical day when everything will change. We wait for the perfect job, the right person, or that one big opportunity that will transform everything. But here's the truth, your life doesn't change in a day, it changes daily. The small, simple things you do every single day hold the power to completely transform who you are. Change doesn't begin with a massive leap. It begins with one consistent step taken with awareness, discipline, and purpose. The first habit is the art of gratitude. Every morning when you wake up, before you reach for your phone, before you think about your problems, pause and give thanks. Gratitude is not about ignoring your challenges, it's about recognizing the blessings that already exist amidst them. When you start your day by acknowledging what's good, your mind begins to focus on abundance rather than lack. Try this before getting out of bed. Think of three things you're grateful for. It could be as simple as being alive, having a roof over your head, or having someone who loves you. Gratitude turns an ordinary day into a celebration. It turns obstacles into opportunities, and it makes your heart lighter, your mind calmer, and your spirit stronger. The second habit that will change your life is practicing mindfulness. We live in a world that glorifies business. Everyone is rushing to work, rushing to earn, rushing to achieve. But in this rush, we forget to live. Mindfulness means being fully present in the moment. It means eating your food with awareness, listening to someone without checking your phone, walking with the feeling of each step, breathing deeply and consciously. When you live in the moment, you stop chasing life and life begins to flow through you. Every moment becomes meaningful. Every task becomes a meditation, and slowly your anxiety decreases, your focus improves, and you begin to find joy in the smallest of things. The third habit is the discipline of self-reflection. Every night before you sleep, take a few minutes to look back at your day. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? How did I respond to challenges? Did I speak kindly to others? Did I use my time wisely? This simple act of introspection is like looking into a mirror, not to criticize yourself, but to understand yourself. Growth is impossible without reflection, because what you do not reflect upon, you repeat, and what you do not measure, you cannot improve. The most successful and peaceful people in the world are not those who never make mistakes, but those who learn from them faster than others. Self-reflection turns every experience, good or bad, into a lesson. It transforms pain into wisdom and failure into progress. The fourth habit is nurturing your body. The body you live in is the only vehicle that will carry you through this journey of life. If you neglect it, everything else will fall apart. Taking care of your body is not about building six-pack abs or fitting into a certain size. It's about having the energy, strength, and vitality to do what you love. Move your body every day, whether it's walking, stretching, dancing, or working out. Eat foods that nourish you, not just those that please your tongue. Hydrate well, sleep deeply. The body is not a machine that you can abuse and expect to perform well. It's a sacred temple that deserves respect. When your body feels good, your mind becomes sharper, your emotions become balanced, and your productivity multiplies. The fifth and final habit is the practice of kindness. Every single day, find a way to make someone's life a little better. It doesn't have to be grand. A smile, a kind word, a helping hand, a message of encouragement, or a small act of service. Kindness has a ripple effect. The energy you send out into the world eventually finds its way back to you. When you spread kindness, you not only lift others but also lift yourself. The world may tell you that success comes from competition, but true success comes from compassion. A kind heart will take you further than a sharp mind ever can. Imagine what your life would look like if you lived with these five habits: gratitude in your mornings, mindfulness in your moments, reflection in your nights, care in your body, and kindness in your actions. You would feel lighter, calmer, and more fulfilled. Because transformation doesn't come from changing the world outside, it comes from changing the world within. The people who live truly extraordinary lives are not those who have everything figured out. They are the ones who have learned to master their daily routines. When you practice gratitude, you train your mind to see what's right instead of what's wrong. When you practice mindfulness, you train your heart to be present rather than distracted. When you practice self-reflection, you train your soul to grow instead of stagnate. When you care for your body, you create the foundation for lasting energy and joy. And when you practice kindness, You create a world that feels lighter and warmer for everyone around you. Remember, habits are not built in a day. They are built by doing small things repeatedly, even when it's not easy, even when it's not exciting. It's like watering a seed. At first, nothing seems to happen. Days go by and you might feel like your efforts are wasted. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, strength is building, and one day, the seed sprouts, not because of one day's watering, but because of your consistent faith and effort. The same happens with your habits. You may not see instant results, but keep going. Consistency is the bridge between intention and transformation. There will be days when you don't feel like practicing gratitude, days when your mind is restless and mindfulness feels impossible, nights when you're too tired to reflect, moments when you slip and forget to be kind. But that's okay. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. Every time you come back to your habits, you strengthen your inner willpower. You grow one step closer to the best version of yourself. Life is not about waiting for the perfect day to start living better, it's about starting now with whatever you have, wherever you are. Because every sunrise brings you another chance to grow. Every morning offers you another opportunity to become more aware, more grateful, more kind. And those who value the small, daily moments are the ones who end up creating the biggest impact. So, wake up tomorrow with gratitude in your heart. Live your day with mindfulness. Reflect with honesty before you sleep. Care for your body with respect. And fill your world with kindness. If you make these 5 habits the pillars of your daily life, transformation won't be something you chase. It will become something you naturally embody. Your life will begin to change from the inside out, peacefully, powerfully, and permanently. And as you begin to live by these 5 habits, something magical starts to happen inside you. You begin to see the invisible threads that connect your thoughts, your actions, and your destiny. You start realizing that your life is not shaped by what you occasionally do, it is shaped by what you consistently repeat. Every choice, every thought, every action adds up. Each day becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your future. And when you consciously choose gratitude, mindfulness, reflection, care, and kindness, your life begins to take the shape of beauty, purpose, and peace. Most people underestimate the power of consistency because the results are not immediate. They start something new with great excitement, but when change doesn't happen overnight, they give up. But you must remember, my friends, nothing truly valuable ever happens quickly. The tallest trees in the forest once began as tiny seeds hidden beneath the soil. The darkness they endured was not punishment, it was preparation. In the same way, your habits take root in silence long before they bear visible fruit. Every act of discipline you perform, every small positive habit you repeat, is silently building your character, your strength, and your destiny. Gratitude, for example, may seem simple. You may think, how can saying thank you change my life? But over time, gratitude rewires your brain. It teaches you to find beauty in chaos, to discover blessings in disguise, and to carry peace even when life seems uncertain. Gratitude changes your lens. When you look through the eyes of thankfulness, every challenge becomes a teacher, and every failure becomes a stepping stone. You stop comparing your life with others because your heart is content with what you already have, and that contentment gives you unmatched inner power. The truth is, the happiest people are not those who have the most, but those who appreciate the most. Mindfulness works the same way. In a world where distractions are constant, mindfulness is your anchor. It keeps you from drifting away in the storm of thoughts, fears, and worries. Think about how many moments we miss because we are not truly present. We eat without tasting, we listen without hearing, we live without feeling. But when you bring awareness into what you do, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. When you sip your tea with full awareness, that simple act becomes meditation. When you walk in silence, feeling your breath, that moment becomes healing. And when you speak to someone with your full attention, that moment becomes love. Mindfulness gives meaning to every breath, and slowly it transforms chaos into clarity. And then comes self reflection, the quiet conversation you have with your own soul. Many people spend their entire lives trying to understand the world but never take time to understand themselves. Yet, self awareness is the foundation of all growth. When you take a few moments each night to reflect, you become your own teacher. You begin to see your patterns, the reactions, the emotions, the thoughts that guide your life. You start identifying what brings you peace and what steals it away. And in that awareness, change begins. Because you cannot fix what you don't understand. You cannot grow from what you don't acknowledge. Reflection is not about judging yourself, it's about befriending yourself with honesty, humility, and compassion. Caring for your body too is a spiritual practice. We often think of self care as selfish, but it's not. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot inspire others if your own energy is constantly drained. When you take time to rest, to nourish yourself, to move your body, you are honoring the divine energy within you. Imagine your body as a sacred temple. Every breath, every heartbeat, every cell working tirelessly for you. Treat it with gratitude, feed it with care. Give it movement and rest in balance. You don't need to spend hours in the gym or follow extreme diets. Just build a simple rhythm of wellness that you can sustain. A short walk in the morning sun, a few deep breaths before work, a good night's sleep. These are small acts that make a world of difference. A healthy body supports a peaceful mind, and together they create a life that flows with joy and strength. And then there's kindness, perhaps the most transformative of all habits. In a world that often celebrates power, intelligence, and success, kindness is sometimes seen as weakness. But the truth is, kindness is the highest form of strength. It takes courage to stay gentle in a world that can be harsh. It takes wisdom to respond with love when others choose anger. Every time you choose kindness, you are not just changing someone else's day, you are changing your own soul. Kindness expands your heart. It reminds you that the purpose of life is not just to exist, but to make life a little easier, a little brighter for someone else. And the beautiful thing about kindness is that it never ends with you. When you help one person, they pass it on, and the ripple continues far beyond what you can see. If you begin to integrate these five habits into your life, something shifts deep within you. You begin to move from reaction to response, from fear to faith, from confusion to clarity. You begin to realize that happiness is not something to be chased, it's something to be cultivated. It's not in what you get, it's in who you become. And these daily habits slowly shape you into a person who radiates calm amidst chaos, hope amidst hardship, and love amidst loss. But remember, transformation is not a one time event, it's a lifelong journey. You will have good days and bad days. You will succeed and you will stumble. But never measure your growth by perfection. Measure it by consistency. Because even on the days you feel like you're moving backwards, your effort still counts. Every day you try again, every moment you choose discipline over comfort, you grow stronger. You're building resilience, patience, and faith, qualities that no one can take away from you. You see, life is not waiting to give you success, it's waiting to see your persistence. The universe rewards the one who keeps showing up, the one who keeps trying even when the results are invisible. Think of the farmer who plants seeds. He doesn't dig up the soil every day to check if the seeds are growing. He trusts the process. He waters the ground, gives it sunlight, removes the weeds, and waits patiently because he knows that growth is not instant, but it's certain. The same is true for your life. Keep nurturing your habits, and one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Not because of one big moment, but because of the quiet, consistent choices you made every single day. As you continue on this path, your energy begins to change. People will feel it. You'll notice how others are drawn to your calmness, your kindness, your positivity. Your life becomes an example rather than an explanation. You won't need to preach, your presence will inspire. Because when you live with gratitude, mindfulness, reflection, care, and kindness, you create an atmosphere of peace wherever you go. You become a light for others. Not because you try to shine, but because you can't help but glow. And the beauty of these habits is that they don't require money, fame, or special talent. They only require intention and consistency. Anyone can start, anyone can change. All it takes is one conscious decision to begin today, not tomorrow. Because tomorrow is only a promise. Today is your opportunity. The power to change your life has always been in your hands, in the small, simple daily actions you choose to take. So start small, start slow. But start now. When you wake up tomorrow, remember to give thanks. When you eat, be present. When you make mistakes, reflect and learn. When you move your body, do it with love. When you meet people, be kind. And as you repeat these little actions day after day, your world will begin to transform quietly. You will find peace where there was once pressure, joy where there was once judgment, and love where there was once fear. Because a great life is not built in a single day, it is built daily through habits that elevate your soul and open your heart. And slowly, as you continue to walk this path, you begin to realize that life is not something that happens to you, it's something that responds to you. The energy you give is the energy you receive. When you live with gratitude, mindfulness, reflection, care, and kindness, life starts mirroring those same qualities back to you. Situations that once felt heavy begin to lighten. People who once drained you begin to lose their power over you. Challenges that once scared you now appear as opportunities to grow. This is the quiet transformation that consistent good habits bring, not overnight miracles, but steady, graceful evolution. There's something deeply empowering about knowing that you are not at the mercy of circumstances. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you always control how you respond. And your response, my friends, is shaped by your habits. A grateful person responds differently from a complaining one. A mindful person reacts differently than a distracted one. A reflective person speaks differently than someone who never pauses to think. A person who takes care of their body lives differently than one who neglects it. And a kind person sees the world through a completely different lens than one filled with bitterness. The moment you start shaping your habits, you start shaping your destiny. The beautiful thing about habits is that they start small but multiply in power. One good habit strengthens another. For example, when you practice mindfulness, you naturally become more grateful. When you become more grateful, you become kinder. When you practice kindness, your heart becomes lighter, which makes reflection easier. When you reflect honestly, you begin to care for yourself more deeply. They all connect, one positive habit feeding into the next, creating a beautiful cycle of growth and peace. And once this rhythm begins, it's hard to go back to the chaos you once accepted as normal. But let's be honest, this journey will not always feel easy. There will be mornings when you forget to feel grateful, days when your mind runs wild and refuses to be mindful, nights when you're too exhausted to reflect, or moments when you lose your patience and forget kindness. And that's okay. Growth is never a straight line. You don't fail because you fail only when you stop trying to rise. Every time you return to your habits, you're building strength. It's not about being perfect every day, it's about showing up again and again, even after slipping. That's what transforms discipline into character. Think of a sculptor working with a rough stone. With each strike of the chisel, a piece of rock falls away. One or two strikes won't reveal the shape, but after thousands of precise, patient hits, a masterpiece begins to emerge. That's exactly how life shapes you through your daily habits. Each act of gratitude chips away at negativity. Each moment of mindfulness smooths out anxiety. Each night of reflection polishes your awareness. Each act of care strengthens your foundation. And each act of kindness adds beauty to your soul. With time, what remains is not just a changed life, it's a transformed you. There is a quiet strength in simplicity. These habits don't ask for grand gestures or complex systems. They simply ask for awareness. Awareness when you wake up, awareness when you eat, awareness when you speak, awareness when you rest. It's this awareness that turns your ordinary routine into a sacred ritual. When you bring consciousness into your actions, even something as small as washing your hands or tying your shoes becomes a moment of peace. You begin to find spirituality in simplicity, joy in stillness, and meaning in the mundane, and you'll notice something extraordinary. As your inner world begins to shift, your outer world will follow. People who once misunderstood you may start respecting you. Opportunities you once chased will begin finding you. Relationships that felt heavy will either heal or gently fall away. Why? Because the frequency of your energy has changed. When you elevate your habits, you elevate your vibration. And when your vibration rises, everything that doesn't match it simply fades away. Life begins to align with your higher self. Sometimes you'll look around and wonder why others aren't as mindful, as grateful, or as kind as you try to be. But remember, everyone is walking their own path, fighting their own battles. You don't need to change them, you just need to embody the change you wish to see. The light of your example can do what words never could. People may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how they felt when they were around you. Be the kind of person whose presence feels like peace. These daily habits not only shape your personal life, they ripple into your professional, social, and emotional world. When you practice gratitude, you perform better at work because you focus on what's going right instead of what's wrong. When you practice mindfulness, your creativity expands because your mind is calm enough to think clearly. When you reflect daily, you learn from your mistakes instead of repeating them, which makes you wiser and more grounded. When you take care of your body, you show up with energy and confidence. And when you practice kindness, people trust you, respect you, and want to work with you. These habits silently elevate every area of your life without you needing to chase success, because success naturally flows to those who are balanced from within. But along this journey, you'll also learn that discipline and compassion must walk hand in hand. Discipline keeps you consistent, compassion keeps you gentle with yourself when you stumble. Too much discipline without compassion leads to burnout. Too much compassion without discipline leads to stagnation. The key is balance. When you miss a habit, don't scold yourself. Forgive yourself, breathe, and begin again. Because real change doesn't come from punishment, it comes from love. The goal is not to become a perfect person, it's to become a more peaceful one. Over time, as you live by these habits, your inner dialogue starts to change. The voice that once doubted you begins to encourage you. The thoughts that once criticized you begin to comfort you. The fears that once held you back begin to dissolve. You start realizing that your greatest power was never in controlling the world outside, but in mastering the world inside. And once you master that, no circumstance can truly shake you. There's a deep contentment that arises from living with awareness. You no longer need constant validation or applause because you know your worth doesn't depend on external approval. You become less reactive and more reflective. You stop rushing toward the next milestone and start savoring the current moment. You stop chasing happiness as a destination and start experiencing it as a journey. And that shift from chasing life to embracing life is what brings true fulfillment. Even the smallest of these habits can spark immense change. Just a few minutes of gratitude can shift your entire day. A few moments of mindfulness can prevent an argument. A single act of kindness can soften a hardened heart. A brief reflection can turn confusion into clarity. A simple walk can calm an anxious mind. These moments may seem insignificant, but when practiced daily, they compound into transformation. The small becomes significant and the simple becomes powerful. As your awareness deepens, you'll start to notice beauty everywhere, in the laughter of a stranger, in the sound of rain, in the silence between thoughts. You'll begin to feel connected to people, to nature, to life itself. You'll understand that every breath is a gift and every day a chance to start again. And the more you live in this awareness, the more peaceful and purposeful your life becomes. In this space of inner peace, you'll find that your desires start to purify. You no longer crave what merely impresses the world, you crave what truly nourishes your soul. You'll want less of what drains you and more of what fills you. You'll trade noise for stillness, competition for compassion, and control for connection. That's the real power of daily habits. They don't just change your schedule, they change your soul. And one day, without even realizing it, you look back and see how far you've come. The person who once overthought, overreacted, and overworked has transformed into someone grounded, peaceful, and joyful. You'll realize that the change didn't happen all at once. It happened every morning you chose gratitude, every moment you chose mindfulness, every night you chose reflection, every day you chose care, and every time you chose kindness. That's when you'll understand life didn't change by accident, it changed because you did. And when you reach that point of realization, something inside you quietly smiles, not out of pride, but out of peace. You begin to see that real transformation is not loud. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It happens in the silent corners of your daily life. It happens when you choose calm instead of chaos, patience instead of anger, compassion instead of judgment. It happens when no one is watching, when you do the right thing simply because your conscience feels lighter when you do. These moments, though invisible to the world, are the building blocks of an extraordinary life. As these habits deepen, you start to experience a harmony between your mind, body, and soul. Your thoughts align with your words, and your words align with your actions. There's no longer a war between what you want to do and what you should do. You move with intention, you speak with awareness, and you act with integrity. This alignment gives you strength that can't be shaken by external noise, because when your inner world is in order, the outer world loses its power to disturb you. Each of these five habits acts like a sacred tool, a quiet force that clears the clutter of life. Gratitude removes complaint, mindfulness removes distraction, reflection removes confusion, self-care removes fatigue, kindness removes bitterness. Together, they cleanse your inner space so that peace has room to live. Most people chase success without realizing that clarity and calmness are the real foundations of achievement. You can't pour creativity from a restless mind or compassion from a tired heart. When you live by these habits, your inner stillness becomes your greatest source of strength. Gratitude, in particular, changes the chemistry of your entire being. Neuroscientists have found that gratitude activates parts of the brain associated with happiness, reduces stress hormones, and increases resilience. But beyond science, it changes your spiritual vibration. You start to attract better experiences because your focus is no longer on what's missing but on what's meaningful. When you thank life for even the smallest things, the breath in your lungs, the sunlight through your window, the sound of laughter, life finds more reasons to bless you. It's as if gratitude opens invisible doors that complaint could never touch. Mindfulness then turns every moment into a prayer. You stop living in auto mode. You stop scrolling through life and start savoring it. You begin to feel each breath as a gift. You notice the colors of the sky, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the expression in someone's eyes when they speak. You stop merely existing and begin truly living. And the more mindful you become, the more peaceful you feel. Because peace doesn't come from a silent world, it comes from a silent mind. When reflection becomes your nightly ritual, you begin to see life as a teacher. Every challenge becomes a class. Every person becomes a mirror. Every setback becomes a lesson. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this trying to teach me? And that shift in question changes everything. You stop feeling like a victim of life and start becoming a student of it. With reflection, even the most painful moments begin to make sense because they shape your character, deepen your compassion, and strengthen your soul. Taking care of your body becomes an act of gratitude toward life itself. You start realizing that your body is not just a vessel, it's a living expression of divine intelligence. It breathes without being told, heals without being asked, and serves without complaint. When you nurture it, you honor that sacred intelligence. You begin to feel more energetic, more focused, and more alive. Movement becomes joy, not obligation. Rest becomes sacred, not laziness. Food becomes fuel, not comfort. You stop punishing your body for what it isn't and start loving it for all that it does. That shift in attitude transforms not just your health, but your entire relationship with yourself. And then there's kindness, the most silent yet the most powerful revolution you can start. A single kind word can heal what thousands of harsh ones cannot. A single act of generosity can rekindle hope in someone who's given up. The beauty of kindness is that it multiplies. The more you give, the more it returns. It reminds you that even in a world full of noise and competition, the heart still has the power to lead. Kindness may not always change others immediately, but it always changes you. It softens the edges of your ego, it humbles your pride, and it expands your capacity to love. As you live through these practices, your awareness grows sharper. You start noticing the patterns that hold people back, the constant complaining, comparing, and criticizing that keeps them trapped in negativity, and you quietly decide not to participate. You stop wasting energy trying to control others or prove your worth. Instead, you invest that energy into becoming better each day. You realize that you don't need to shout your progress to the world, your peace will speak for you. Over time, people will begin to notice something different about you. They may not be able to explain it, but they'll feel it. A calm presence, a grounded energy, a lightness in your eyes. You won't be chasing validation anymore, you'll simply radiate it. Your presence will carry a silent power that inspires others to grow. Because when you change yourself, you don't just transform your life, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. The beauty of these habits is that they grow with you. At first, they require effort. You have to remind yourself to practice them. But slowly, they become your natural rhythm. Gratitude becomes your instinct. Mindfulness becomes your default. Reflection becomes your nightly closure. Self care becomes your discipline. Kindness becomes your identity. That's when you know you've shifted from doing these things to being them. You no longer try to live better, you simply do. You no longer seek peace. You are peace. There will still be storms, of course. Life will still test you. But your response will change. Where you once reacted with fear, you'll now respond with faith. Where you once saw chaos, you'll now see lessons. Where you once felt exhausted, you'll now feel equipped. Because your habits have built an unshakable foundation within you. They've given you the strength to bend without breaking, to pause without giving up, and to rise without resentment. And that's the hidden blessing of discipline. It frees you. When you discipline your habits begin to discipline your life. They remove unnecessary chaos, eliminate wasted energy, and make space for what truly matters. You begin to realize that freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is having control over your inner world. It's waking up with clarity, living with purpose, and sleeping with peace. These habits, though simple, are profound. They don't require hours of your time, just moments of your awareness. They don't demand perfection, just sincerity. Even if you spend a few minutes each day practicing them, their ripple effect will touch every area of your life. Your work, your relationships, your health, your happiness. Slowly, you'll begin to notice that life feels lighter. The same problems that once overwhelmed you now feel manageable. The same world that once felt grey now shines with color. And perhaps the most beautiful thing you'll discover is that happiness was never lost. It was simply buried beneath layers of distraction and disconnection. These habits help you uncover it one mindful moment at a time. You'll realize that joy is not in distant goals, but in present gratitude. Peace is not in a silent world, but in a calm heart. Success is not in having more, but in becoming more. When you live like this, your days become filled with meaning. You no longer count your time in hours and minutes, but in moments of awareness and connection. You no longer chase perfection, you embrace progress. You no longer wait for life to slow down, you learn to slow down within life. And in that stillness, you'll discover the essence of true transformation. That the biggest changes begin not when you change your world, but when you change your habits. And through your habits, you change your heart. And through your heart, you change your entire experience of living.